What's going on, guys? That boy Walt back with another video, and this time the topic will be on flowing on the pads. The reason why I think flowing on the pads is so important is because it's going to teach you to be precise, to aim, and to be strong and fast while staying relaxed. And the reason why I think that is so important is because when you're constantly clutching and telegraphing on the mitts, you're going to constantly be doing that in sparring, and you're going to constantly be doing that in the fights, and that's not what we want at all. Here in this video, we have a legend of the sport named Saenchai. Very good at being fluid, very good at relaxing and taking his time. In my opinion, the reason why legends like Saenchai and many others in this video are so good at what they do is because they're composed and relaxed. And they always look comfortable no matter what situation they're put in. And the reason why they're like that is because they train like that. You'll never see Saenchai or Floyd Mayweather or whoever out of their element.
Got that boy Floyd on the mitts now, and I don't know who shot this video, but that is how I got it off of YouTube, and we're going to let that be that. But anyway, as you can see, a lot of people see his fancy pad work and think that's all he got, but come on now. You guys seen him in the ring. You know he's way better than that. And why? Look how relaxed he is. Look how composed he is. He has his hips behind every shot. He has his shoulder behind every shot. That is the showing of a true master.
For Floyd Mayweather to Saenchai, you can tell these guys are true masters of the game. Nice and relaxed. Very accurate, and it don't look like they're even tired simply because of the fact they have full control of their body, never wasting any movement. These guys are never out of their element, never surprised by anything, and never shook because they drill the basics into their head every day. The reason why legends like these guys are so good is not because of the fancy stuff that you might see them doing, where they might be the Saenchai cartwheel kick or the Floyd Mayweather pull right hand or a super bun knocking out Giorgio Petrosyan with the high kick. None of that stuff is done without practicing the basics over and over.
I've said it before in videos, and I'll say it again. Basics win fights. As you can see with Superbon right here, he's throwing very, very basic stuff. He's throwing the right kick. He's throwing his jabs, his crosses, his hooks. He's working on all his strikes. No spinning stuff, no crazy stuff, no fancy stuff. Not that anything is wrong with the karate techniques or anything like that. It's just we got to work the high probability, the stuff that is easy to throw and easy to land. Now, on to one of my favorite fighters, Giorgio Petrosyan. Notice in his pad work how simple it looks. Very basic, throwing the left round kick, the left knee, the right knee. Super basic stuff that's going to constantly land over and over. They call him the doctor simply because of the fact that he can literally get you with surgical precision. Everything he throws is precise and accurate. I think they named him that simply because of what he did to Andy Sauer back in the K1 days, where he hit him with the right knee or the left knee over and over again. And that's when one of the reps gave him the nickname, the doctor. Great fighter to watch simply because he's so simple and basic to the point where it literally looks complex. But as you can see with all of these athletes, from Saenchai to Floyd to Giorgio, they're good at what they do. They're good at throwing their jabs. They're good at throwing their basic strikes. And that's what's making them so good. Their bases are so perfect to the point where like you can literally barely find a hole in their offense or their defense simply because they're so good at it. Even though I'm preaching the flow and take your time, there's nothing wrong with speeding it up. There's nothing wrong with going a little harder at all. I'm not saying that, period. But at the same time, you got to understand the mistakes you make when you go faster. As you see in this video with me, really fast and stuff like that. But if you notice, you can see that certain punches might be dropping a little bit just because I'm going so fast. I'm just trying to focus on the speed. When I'm throwing my kick, my hand comes down just a tad bit. You know what I'm saying? Just little things that you might not even see or the person who's watching might not see from the naked eye. But you got to fix that stuff because the things that you do in training is definitely what you're going to be doing in the fight. Now, this is a recent training clip, literally from today. I'm working my southpaw, my orthodox, been working a lot of my switching, as you know. And as you can tell, I'm going a lot slower than I was in the previous video, simply because I want to make sure I'm as technical as can be. When I'm throwing my kicks, got my arm up and out, just like I talked about in one of my kick videos. When I'm throwing my jabs, stepping on them, just real basic, simple stuff, all right? Just taking my time. Justin, I've talked about him before, really big on technique, really big on fixing stuff. Even in the rounds where we go fast or hard, he'll slow it down sometimes just so we can make sure we're doing things correctly because we don't want to be making mistakes that'll translate to the fight that can get me hurt. In all combat sports, but especially Muay Thai and kickboxing, you have to be patient simply because there's so many things that can hurt you or knock you out, right? You got the punches, the kicks, the elbows, the knees, all right? The art of 8 limbs. You got so many things to worry about. You can't be rushing into things that could possibly end your night early. Really proud of this video because this is the most technical I've looked with my switch hitting. Not rushing anything, taking my time, pivoting my feet when I'm throwing my punches, stepping on my punches. Everything's looking pretty crisp here. And like I told you in previous videos, switch hitting is not easy. It takes time. It takes a lot of repetition. So I'm happy to see that over time I've gotten a lot better, and I'm just going to keep getting better because I'm going to keep my foot on the pedal. If you knew me from the past, you knew I loved my fly kicks, my spin kicks, and my, like to call them Dragon Ball Z combos me and Micah do, where I just throw a lot of punches and hope it land. But over time, I've come a long way with learning how to be patient, picking my shots, not just throwing a bunch of punches and kicks and hoping that it gets them out of there. Now I'm taking my time and being methodical and making sure like everything I throw is going to have a purpose. Even if it doesn't land, it's going to set something up that's going to land and hurt them. That's why I believe flow pads are so important. I would even argue that it's even more important than doing cardio pad work. What I mean by cardio pad work is that constant hard mitt work where you're not even really focusing on technique. You just want to throw everything as fast and as hard and as much as you can. I really feel like the flow pad work is a lot better because it's simply going to make sure you're as technical as possible and that you're actually learning how to do the sport that you're doing. So if I'm learning Muay Thai, I want to make sure I'm learning Muay Thai to the fullest, make sure I'm covering every basis. So when I get out there, nothing's going to be foreign to me. But if I'm constantly going fast and I'm constantly going hard, then I might not be ready for what's coming out there because I'm not working on anything. I'm just going off straight up muscle memory. That's not even correct muscle memory. You don't want to build bad muscle memory. Remember I said muscle memory is a form of intelligence, but it can also be a form of stupidity. And what I mean by stupidity is you drop your hands when you're throwing punches. You drop your hands when you're throwing kicks. Basic stuff that can be fixed if you just learn how to slow it down and do it correctly. Once you learn how to do that, man, you're going to be so much more of a better practitioner and fighter. Simply because now you understand like, hey, this is how I do things correctly. This is how I switch it to my other stance correctly. This is how I throw my right hand and put power behind it. This is how I throw my left hand and put power behind it. But that's not going to come in a day, so you got to keep pressing and keep drilling. We want intelligent muscle memory. That's what we're looking for. We don't want to build bad habits. Keep that in mind. So to wrap this little TED Talk up, I think you should always be working flow pad work. Sometimes speed it up just to see where you're at, to see what you need to work on. Now, of course, do what your coach tell you to do, but just remember that whatever you're doing wrong while you're going full throttle is what you're going to be doing out there in the fight. A good example of that is watching Liam Harrison. He's a great fighter, but I'm not necessarily a fan of his pad work simply because I think they're going too fast and not being technical. But anyway, have a good day. I'll see you next time.